Back on the show, you know who he is. It's Eryk Anders, who once again is coming off another impressive win. He just defeated Markus Perez this past weekend at UFC Fight Night 123 on December 9th. Eryk, what's going on? How are you?
Man, I'm doing awesome. And yourself?
I can't complain, and congratulations on the win, man. Another impressive victory. What was the game plan heading into the fight, and did you feel like you implemented that in the matchup?
The game plan is just usually to go out there and get a win, and sometimes you got to make on-the-fly adjustments or whatever. So, I think the fight went well. Didn't take any damage. Did all the beating. Didn't take any. So, wore him down. The game plan was kind of weigh on him because he liked to do all that crazy stuff that spinning and he even did a front flip, in the fight. So, he was pretty unpredictable. So just get attached, stay attached, and not give him a lot of room to move around there.
Would you say sort of his unpredictability, like as far as, throwing that type of stuff, was maybe the one thing that surprised you in the fight, or was there anything else that sort of surprised you as an opponent?
His lack of offense. I thought he'd be more offensive. So there were times where, we would get toe-to-toe, and I'd wait for him to throw something instead of me pushing the action. I was kind of just waiting for him, and then he didn't do anything. And then, so we were just kind of standing there looking at each other for a second. So going back, hindsight's 20/20. I'd have thrown a little bit more offense out.
And I imagine as far as the post-fight celebrations, got some barbecue after. Was there any barbecue in Fresno or no?
No, we actually went to a little Mexican bar and restaurant out there called Fat Boys. It was pretty tasty, pretty delicious.
Nice. That's awesome. What was the first cheat meal? You mentioned the Mexican food. What was the first dish? Tacos or a burrito? What did you get?
No, I went with the fajitas with the refried beans and the rice and the whole nine. So
nice.
Yeah.
I bet it was good too, because in California, they know how to do the the Mexican food up pretty well.
Yeah, it was delicious. Yeah, it was real good.
What was the feedback, or did you get any feedback from the UFC after the win? Because again, you're undefeated. You're really making your mark in this middleweight division.
No, everybody was impressed, happy with the dominant victory and whatnot. So waiting on to hear what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does this past week look like in terms of training? I know you kind of just eased back into it. You're at the gym now, so obviously you're still hanging around, but what is this week sort of looking like?
It's kind of like a download week, not doing a whole lot, letting my body rest and recover, some active recovery stuff. And, starting next week, we'll be back at it.
I noticed you shaved for this fight. Was there any particular reason for that?
Nah, not really. I line my own beard and goatee and stuff, and, I haven't had a little accident, so I just went ahead and
yeah, that happens. That's happened to me too, plenty of times. I was gonna say, because I saw you, I saw a photo on Instagram. I almost didn't recognize you, because usually when we do these interviews, you got the facial hair going, so that was kind of interesting. Let's talk about what's next. Obviously you want to get back in there as soon as possible. Is there sort of like an ideal situation for you and an ideal card? Because there's that card in Austin, Texas. I imagine that sounds pretty appealing to you.
Well, right now, I'd really like to fight Lyoto Machida down there in Brazil in early February.
Excellent. Why Machida? Just because he's a name, a former champion. Is that sort of the reason?
Yeah, I think he may be on the way out. I'm on the way up. So I think it's only natural that we meet at some point or another.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think at this point you've had the 2 UFC fights. You've been very impressive. I think at this point you need a name to kind of get to that next level and fight a veteran. So I'm a fan of the Machida matchup too. Has the UFC sort of said anything about that? Because he doesn't have an opponent right now.
Yeah, not really. I just kind of threw that in the water and. Hopefully we get a bite.
Now, I know this matchup doesn't make a ton of sense to you, but I did talk to Trevin Giles, and of course you guys were supposed to fight in LFA, and that never ended up happening, and he got a win on this card as well, too. Do you guys see each other sort of crossing paths at one point? Because he seemed pretty interested in a fight with you.
Man, I just signed the contract with the name that was presented to me, so if that's the name that comes across, and that's the name that comes across. But, for me, I want to fight, the upper echelon of the division, so. I think Lyoto's number 14 right now, so that's what I want to go for, and see if we can make that happen.
I was talking about LFA a little bit there. There's the middleweight title fight coming up, the vacant one. I don't know if you saw that. Brendan Allen, who you fought, is going to be fighting this newcomer, Anthony Hernandez. Do you sort of have a pick in that one? Are you still keeping tabs on LFA at all?
Oh yeah. I'd go with Brendan Allen. Having fought him personally, I know how tough he is, and he can take a shot, and he'll be there for all 5 rounds. So I don't know much about the other cat, but I'm familiar with Brendan. So
looking back on this year, you've gone 4-0. You started the year in LFA, and now you're in the UFC. You've got 2 wins. Could this year have gone any better for you as far as what you envisioned for 2017?
Man, it's been a fantastic year. If there's one thing that I could do, if I had my power, I'd have fought on that Madison Square Garden. I'd have got 3 fights in the UFC. But other than that, it's really hard to complain. No injuries, 4 fights, 4 wins, um, kind of making my impact in the UFC. So, hopefully 2018, hopefully we start that off as good as well.
What are your plans for the holiday season? I know you wanted to get back in there and get on that Brazil card, but are you going to get to enjoy yourself at all? During the holiday season.
Yeah, me and my wife actually we take off Friday to Brazil. We're gonna hang out there for a little bit, where she's from. Take me around and definitely get some rounds in and some training down there while we're there.
That's very cool. You travel all the time. I think that's so cool. Is that something? I guess just after every fight, you're kind of like, hey, we got to book something.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know I was gonna fight. Well, yeah, we kind of like to take our vacations because, I put in a lot of work in this, and she puts a lot of work in what she does, and sometimes you just need a week or so to kind of rest and recoup.
Great. How long are you going to be in Brazil for?
We'll be there till the beginning of the year.
Oh, excellent. That's good. Last question for you here. We're coming up to Christmas. I may have asked you this before, and if I did, apologies. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Favorite Christmas movie? Uh, Home Alone and The Grinch.
Nice.
For sure. The
Now,
first Home Alone and the cartoon Grinch, not the movie. The movie wasn't that great, I don't think. But it's just something about those 2 movies that made me really enjoy the holidays.
excellent. I can't wait for your next fight, Eryk. Thanks again for taking the time today. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Man, you can find me on all social media outlets: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Eryk Anders, ErykAnders. I want to thank Grunt Style and Infinite CBD. Go to infinitecbd.com, check out their supplies, what they got, and use promo code Anders, save yourself a little bit of money at checkout.